Okay, today we're going to go over our last quadrilateral, and today is a kite. So we're going to be talking about a kite. Now, a kite is a quadrilateral with two distinct pairs of equal adjacent sides. Okay? So our definition of kite . A quadrilateral with two distinct pairs of equal adjacent sides. Now the key here is that the adjacent sides are the ones that are parallel. So when we draw our kite, the two adjacent sides, so here's the top part of my kite, these are going to be congruent. They're adjacent to one another. And then these two at the end are generally the different lengths, and that makes those two adjacent. So a quadrilateral with two distinct pair of equal adjacent sides. Here's the first distinct pair. Here's the second distinct pair. Now, when we move to our properties, we have it all filled out now. We have our kite, and the kite's down here at the bottom. We're going to have to add it on to our list. It wasn't on our list originally. And when we go through our properties of the kite, we have opposite sides are congruent, which we know is not true because only the adjacent sides are congruent. So this part will be an X. And it seems like I'm having technical difficulties again. Give me just a moment. Okay, so this will be an X. We have two pair of adjacent sides. So here's that two distinct pair, two pair of adjacent sides. That's going to go here. Two pair of adjacent sides are going to be congruent. Opposite angles. We are going to have one pair of opposite angles congruent. One pair is going to be congruent. Otherwise, they're not going to be congruent. Our adjacent angles, the ones next to each other, those are not going to be congruent. Our diagonals are equal. No, they are not going to be equal. The diagonals bisect each other. They do not bisect each other, no. But the longer diagonal does bisect the smaller diagonal. longer diagonal bisects shorter diagonal. Okay, so our longer diagonal bisects the shorter diagonal. And are the diagonals perpendicular? Yes, they will always be perpendicular. Okay, so that finishes up our quadrilaterals. We have a kite. It does not have opposite sides congruent. Adjacent sides, there are two different pair of adjacent sides that are congruent. Opposite angles, there is one pair of opposite angles that are congruent. Adjacent angles, no, their adjacent angles are not going to be congruent. Are their diagonals equal? No, they are not. Do they bisect each other? They do not bisect each other, but the longer diagonal will bisect the shorter diagonal. And are the diagonals perpendicular? Do they meet at a 90-degree angle? Yes, they do. All right, and we are done with our quadrilaterals.